Hey, this is Kirk from Go Make Music, and today I want to break down the simple truth about gain staging. I get a lot of questions about this, there's a lot of confusion about this, there's a lot of fear surrounding this the right way, and people have their numbers and their things and all this kind of stuff. And today I want to break it down for you. Now, I'm going to talk about pre-fader metering, I'm going to throw out some numbers, but I want you to understand that number one, it's not that complicated. Number two, I don't want you to get obsessed over the numbers. It's really like not too loud and not too soft. Getting it in a sweet spot. Staging the gain so that it's not too loud and too soft. The goal here is control, so that you are in control of the gain and the gain is not controlling you. Because what we end up doing is we play this red light whack-a-mole game where we're just hunting red lights in our DAW and making sure that nothing's overloading instead of paying attention to the music and paying attention to the way it's making us feel. That's what's important. Once you get this concept, you get it, you got it, and now you can move on to the music, which is what is important. So let's dive in. This is a lesson from my Mixmaster Academy. So we'll go through this and then I'll see you on the other side. See you then. Okay, so you got everything organized, labeled, colored. Your buffer size is correct. You know about the sample rate and the tempo, and you're ready to move into some more mix prep. And in this lesson, I'm just going to show you how to do gain staging. And mostly this is doing like clip gain or making sure that the level of your tracks coming into your DAW is not too hot, meaning not too loud, it's not too quiet, it's not too soft. So we can do that just by listening, but honestly, the more you do this, you're going to be able to start doing this just by sight, just by looking at the actual files. So I'm looking at these files and I can already see like, okay, my background gain vocals are super soft. My background vocals are soft. My lead vocal looks fine. These electric guitars look like they were going to need a boost. This acoustic might need a boost. This bass looks good. Nothing looks like it's too hot. These snaps are pretty hot. And then, so let's just let's listen to the snaps. Okay, so I'm gonna solo the snaps. I'm just gonna listen. I'm gonna make sure all my faders are at 0 for now. Collect all my faders, hit Option and click. Boom. Now they're all at 0. Boom. Okay, so they're not crazy hot. They're negative 6.9. There's plenty of forums and debates and all kinds of stuff about what you need to have your level set at. A lot of the issues came from analog days and maxing out pieces of gear, overloading them to where it was bad, although some people like to overload things because it's cool, you know. So I don't want you to nerd out over the numbers or be fearful over not having the right numbers. The main idea is that your files shouldn't be too loud and they shouldn't be too soft. So we look at these snaps and then I can look at these brush. This brush seems super quiet. It doesn't sound super quiet, it just looks quiet, okay? So, and again, it's serving a different function. But how would I correct this? And what should I be aiming for? And how do I do it? Well, here we go. You want to do what's called pre-fade metering. So pre-fader metering, meaning when I listen to these snaps, for example, right now my meter is after the fader. So if I turn my fader down, the meter goes down, right? That's not very useful for figuring out what we're trying to do right now. So you need to have pre-fader metering. And if you don't have it set up, you just can customize and hit pre-fader metering, hit OK. This little button shows up and it's going to swap these two things. So click the button, boom, now it's swapped. So now if I turn this down, it's not going to affect the meter because it's metering pre-fader. Right? So now I get an accurate representation of how this is hitting my DAW, negative 6.9. That's pretty hot, but I could just roll with it. But I'm going to try to get it into a healthier place. And they say between negative 18, negative 10 is kind of a nice place. And I think that's fine. The main goal is that you don't want this thing peaking out or close to zero, and you don't want it way down here, because that's going to let you use your fader in a better way. Because if I zoom in on this fader, you'll see that the resolution gets smaller and smaller the closer I get to the bottom. So you want to keep your faders in this area. That's part of the other reason that this is important in the digital world. So here we go. I'm going to turn this down a few dB. And I can do that just by selecting the region. And then in my region parameters, which is here in my little inspector, hit I to open that up. You got this option called gain. Turn this down. And now I'm at negative 10. Great. Maybe a little bit more. We're good. So then on my snare brush, it's super low. So I might do some metering for that. And see, I'm at like negative 27, right? So I want to bump that up. All right, cool. That's a good place. So you can see all this stuff looks pretty good. I might do a little bit more on my small stomp. Negative 18, that's cool. And then I'll go through here, and if I see something that looks low, I might just go ahead and just turn it up a smidge, like these cymbals. The shakers look a little low. And they're shakers, so they're going to be low anyway, so that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and pump up this tambo verb and this piano rev a few dB. Acoustics look good, except for this acoustic. I'm going to turn it up. Now I can meter it. Again, you can do it by ear. Well, you do it by ear. And you can do it by sight. Not illegal. Where are we at? There you are. Sweet. And then these guys, all these electrics, I'm going to turn them up. And this electric I'm going to turn up. This one looks good. Lead vocal looks fine. Bass looked fine. And background vocals could probably come up a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to solo them. Pre-fade meter them. Be the light in this dark world. Okay, so they're going to be in the background because they're background vocals, but I'll pump them up a little bit. And then Gang Vox, turn these guys up too. Just a little bit. Okay. So now I know that my files are hitting my input stage. Nice healthy signals for everything. Okay. Again, you can do this a little bit by ear. And the more you do this, eventually you're going to be like, okay, that's too loud. That's too quiet. Da-da-da-da-da. Go through. Should take you 5-10 minutes. And then you're ready to move on to the next thing. So go ahead, pull in your session. Or if you're working on another mix, go ahead and do some pre-fader metering. Don't let it be too quiet. Don't let it be too loud. That way you can use this fader in a way that works for you. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson. All right, so I hope that that was helpful and brought some clarity to your understanding of gain staging. Staging the gain. So at this very beginning part of your mix, you're setting the gain for the power of each track. Now, eventually you can take the same concept and put it on your submixes. So if you have a drum bus, or you have a music bus, or you have your vocal bus, you can make sure that you're not overloading those buses. And then those buses that are feeding your mix bus, make sure you're not overloading your mix bus. And you set the gain at each stage so that you're not overloading the next piece of the chain. That's gain staging. That being said, once you understand this concept, you can take it into your hands if you want to overload the next piece of a chain, if you want to overload a plugin, if you want to overload this thing. There are times where it sounds good, and I'm not going to argue with that. If it sounds good, it is good. But the key is that you are in control. You're not chasing the red lights and spending your time, playing the whack-a-mole game with the red lights. You are staging the gain in a way that you control. If you want to overload it, if you want to drive it, if you want to push it, go for it. Okay, now go forth and stage that gain. So let me know if that was helpful or if you have any more questions. Also, I've put together a free mix workshop giving you the top 3 lessons that I would give to any engineer student of mine, whether they've been mixing for 3 days or they've been mixing for 3 years. I want to help you develop your ear, develop your mindset, and develop your process. So you can just go to www.gomakemusic.org/mix workshop. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll see you there. So until next time, go make music.